We are working through a child-centered climate change adaptation program, which was a fund from AUSAID through our Human and Partnership Agreement with the AUSAID. Plan Australia is partnering with the six Pacific Islands countries with individual partners working in country and as a regional coordinator, a foundation of South Pacific International FSPI in Fiji. So our approach is basically to work with the community who are in remote areas and left out from all processes of development in country, and especially focusing on children, because children are most vulnerable even within the communities. So the program is focusing on three main components, or we have three main outcomes, which is first to increase the awareness awareness of policymakers, communities, and especially of children about the climate change and its impact and what we can do from our part to face the scenarios. And the second is we are designing a climate smart solution which can be good approaches to adapt to a changed condition. And third one is we are trying to incorporate the good practices which would be an outcome of our program within the government policies and processes. Those are the three components we are focusing on.
It sounds like a very tight format that you've got set down for the children to be involved. How much say are they actually having in this?
This is the fully children involved and engaged program approach we are taking. I think it's a first time in Pacific we are taking this approach. Plan globally works in child-centered approaches, but in Pacific, I think this is the first time we are in a way rolling out a piloting approach. Our partners in community first go to community and then consult with children, ask their perception about the climate change, collect their views, and then sit with children, again design a suitable program to address the problems and work with children, not only to implement the program, but starting from designing the process up to the monitoring and evaluation. This is a sort of year first, tail end of the year first. We are reviewing our activities in the ground and also taking some learning so that we can better improve and ensure the participation and more meaningful engagement of children to our further programming in year second and year third.
Suresh, have you actually started engaging with children yet?
Yes, we have. We are working with children in every community where partners are working in their individual countries.
Well, what sort of information are they feeding back to the adults in the communities now? What are their fears and concerns, and what do they think should be done about climate change and climate change planning?
Concern two facets. One is, of course, there is, especially in Pacific nations, the impact of climate change is more visible than any other countries in the world. So, and due to the geographical remoteness and an isolation of individual islands and communities, the community as a whole are being left out in any development process of the nation itself. But within community, children are most vulnerable because they very rarely have say to any processes. So children's perception is, of course, they are facing the problem, like they are spending more time in collecting water, or they are spending more time on farming activities, where due to the impact of climate change, the production is being decreased, or water resources being decreased, or all those kind of things are happening. And most of the time, it's the children who are contributing to a family maintenance and all those kind of things. So they are missing school, their health is being deteriorating, they are from different respects. So they are being more impacted from the climate change. But the problem is they are missing out in a process. Even if there is any program, they are missing out in a process of having their say, process of expressing their perception and expressing their need. So our approach is basically to collect all of the children's perception, children's views, and children's ideas of the solution which they want, which would benefit especially to children, and then prepare or design a climate-smart solution which we would be implementing in our program areas, and also we would try to influence the policy makers and to design the policy which would especially address the special vulnerabilities of children and then impact of climate change to the children. And they would also develop some processes we would ensure the children's engagement in later stage as well.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, what impact this information would have on policy and the approaches that perhaps governments and policymakers would now have. Do you think it's going to have much of an impact?
Yes, in some of the countries there is already a visible impact. We are really, the result is really encouraging. Like to give you an example, in Tonga, our partners are working with the Ministry of Education to develop some education materials and tools, which the government is positive on incorporating in their education system. Similarly, in PNG, we are working with provincial government, and there is a very likely scenarios that our outcome would be the children's perception and then children's views and then needs would be incorporated while designing a provincial disaster risk management policies and procedures. There are a lot of examples.